Hello, Cooper Glover, 1970. Excuse me, Cooper Glover, 1972. You know, by now it's Brian, of course. So I watched 5 films this week. One of which I've seen before. Um, I'm, I guess I'm doing that where I'm trying to watch films I've seen before. Like last week, you remember I had Fires on the Plain, a Japanese World War II film by Kan Ichikawa. So, but before I get to that film, there's some films I watched previous to that. So let's see, what do we have here? So we have the first film I watched was off of Netflix streaming. It's a film called Roma. It's directed by Alfonso Cuarón, who I think is a pretty good director. And I think if I get my um, filmography right, he did Gravity, he did Children of Men, Y Tu Mama Tambien, and I think he did Birdman. I think he did all of those. If you know all of those are the correct ones, I could look. I guess I'm a little lazy, and I have some of those films. I have Y Tu Mama Tambien, I have Children of Men, and I have Gravity. And I think they're all directed by the same guy. And I didn't like Birdman that much, but um, out of all those ones I just listed, probably Children of Men I like the most. But I like Gravity. Gravity is pretty good too. Anyways, Roma's his latest feature. He directed it in Mexico. The whole film is almost the whole. I don't think that. Well, no, there is a little English spoken in some of the scenes. A few of the scenes, not a lot of the scenes. Um, but it's set in Mexico, and the main character is a maid that works with his family, and she's like, just like in Y Tu Mama Tambien, like the two young men and the young woman that's traveling with them, they sort of pass by. It might be more prominent in Roma than it is in Y Tu Mama Tambien. Kind of big historical movements going on, like protest, because of the. It's set in the early '70s, like Vietnam War. Um, I'm not. I don't really have a full knowledge of what was happening in Mexico at the time. I was born in '72, and this film takes place in like 1970 or '71. I don't want to give. I'm trying to. I think I'm giving too much away sometimes of the movie, so I'm gonna. I gave you that explanation. Then, anyways, you see her in this backdrop, and it's pretty epic too. There's some pretty big epic scenes. Um, uh, Out of 5 stars, this time I managed to put my ratings on my phone, and so I wouldn't dawdle around and just go or not come up with a rating for you. So I give it 4 stars, um, 4 out of 5 stars. It's not the greatest film I've ever seen, but it's not too. It's better than good. It's excellent, but I don't think it's up to quite to the level Children of Men. Um, so and the cinematography is beautiful. The black and white cinematography. Um, Maybe it's a little too stagey. I don't know, but it's okay. It wasn't too bad. The next film I watched was off of Netflix streaming as well, Hell or High Water. That's directed by David Mackenzie. That came out. I don't think. was it last year or the year previous? I think it was the year previous. I think it was 2017. Um, but it stars Jeff Bridges as a what is he, a deputy or a he's a policeman, and he's on the trail of two crooks. Well, they're sort of crooks, Chris Pine and Ben Foster. And the older brother, yeah, he's the older brother, Ben Foster. It's set in Texas. It was shot in New Mexico, but the, their mother died, and the Ben Foster character was in prison. He killed the father character, and somehow their property is going to get foreclosed on, and the Chris Pine character's children and his ex-wife might be in a lot of trouble as far as property. You know, they might be maybe homeless. So there's like a reverse mortgage, so they've got to rob some banks to make sure that things get back to normal. And they hide the cars in a unique way. I'll put it that way. And Jeff Bridges is onto their game because you know they the way they rob banks is that he figures out what these kind of guys are like, and so the ending is pretty interesting, like how it solves itself out. You know that um, each party has each party each the cops and um, the thieves. They're sort of like Robin Hoods in a way because the government is not treating them fairly, so they're getting like a raw deal. So they want to turn the tables and get their just desserts. I don't know, but anyways, it also has music by Nick Cave and Warren Ellis. And if I'm correct on this, Nick Cave did the music for Wings of Desire by Wim Wenders or Wim Wenders. I think it's Wim Wenders. So I give this film 4 stars. I thought it was excellent, but not the greatest film of all time. Well, why would I say it's the greatest film of all time? It was good. It was very good. I really enjoyed it. Next up, we got another movie. This film I watched on Mubi, M-U-B-I. It's another streaming service. And this one and the one after this one that I tell you about, they're on Mubi right now. But again, like I usually do, I watch them at the last minute, and by the time I tell you about them, they're going to expire. And that's why I did it today rather than Sunday, because this film, Enter the Void, this expires tomorrow on Sunday. It's technically Sunday already. It's 1:03 in the morning on a Sunday, but it expires on Sunday at midnight Pacific time, Eastern time. It expires at 3 a.m. So it's a pretty good movie. It's sort of shot on the pretext of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, what happens after you die. So certain scenes in the film are shown more than once, like from more than one camera angle, and the main character gets shot, and you see like him floating above himself, sort of like an out-of-body experience, and you see his past and you see his present, and just all the things that led to what led to his death and what leads afterwards. It's pretty interesting how they did all the camera shots. It must have been a nightmare to shoot. I'm just like, because there's all these sort of like in Taxi Driver, at the end of Taxi Driver, where you see Travis Bickle go like this, and there's blood dripping from his finger, and the cops are standing in the doorway, and the camera goes over them, and then it goes down the staircase, but it goes from a high angle. Well, when I watched the making of Taxi Driver, they had to cut the the building to get those high angle shots. They had to cut into the wall in order to into the ceiling to get those shots that they did. So so you see those kinds of shots in this movie in Enter the Void. Came out in 2009 and it's directed by Gaspar Noé, who he directed Love too, and I think I talked about Love in a previous movies that I watched during the week review. Next film I watched, this is a film I have of my own. I had it on video cassette before I had DVDs, and then I collected it on DVD. I think there's all these special features on this, and I've yet to look at the special features. I've seen it a few times. I saw it in the theater. It's directed by Terrence Malick. It's The Thin Red Line. Really impressive. He says, well, Terrence Malick, like David Lynch with Eraserhead, they have instructions that they want you to do before you watch a movie. Like with Eraserhead, you have to adjust the TV set certain ways, and you have to turn the lights out according to David Lynch. Well, with this, Terrence Malick wants you to turn the volume really, really loud up. I didn't do that because it was late at night, but anyways, it's about World War II. There's a lot of stars in this, and I write them down, but there's so many. There's John Cusack, there's Nick Nolte, John Travolta, Adrian Brody, Jim Caviezel, Sean Penn, George Clooney. Who am I missing? I'm missing somebody. The guy from Law and Order Special Victims Unit. I think he's in Oz. He's in this. I'm probably missing some other people too because it's a pretty big cast. And I hear that other people were just, well, that's the thing with Terrence Malick. I think he really cuts people out that have important. Well, I don't know if they're just cut out of the film and they can be major actors. I think this is the reason why. Well, no, I don't think Christopher Plummer was pretty pissed off at him when they did The New World, which I also have. I also have Tree of Life, which, by the way, is right here on Blu-ray. 2 different cuts. It's a Criterion, like The Thin Red Line. And I have The New World, Criterion, Blu-ray, 3 different cuts of that. And I have another DVD of Terrence Malick, my first one, which was Days of Heaven, which is another Criterion. Anyways, Thin Red Line, it's about these American soldiers during World War II. They're trying to take an island, and they have to take this hill, and the Japanese, the Japanese are not going to make it easy for them, basically. But it's pretty intense movie, and just shows you what war can be. War can be a real hell. The main character in the film, Jim Caviezel, I guess he's the main character. Technically, he's not the main character because Terrence Malick is sort of a poetic director. And what I mean by that is he sort of goes off on tangents. I don't know if maybe that's not sounding very respectful, but he sort of goes on to these poetic tangents, like is nature threatening, or there are 2 forces in nature that fight each other, and I find it hard sometimes to hear what. Well, I think at least in Thin Red Line, I found it hard to hear what they were saying in the movie when I was like in the theater and on video cassette, and that's what I did. Like with Hell or High Water, for example, I had to turn the subtitles on, and that's because I played loud music when I was younger, rock music and classical music. I turned the boombox on at 10, and I when I used to run, I had earbuds, and I turned the volume up, and that was not good, but I did it anyways, and it affected my hearing. Hey, I'll be back and write just a sec. Okay, back. My nose is real drippy. I think it might have been the salsa that I just ate, because I ate after I eat it, I only have mild sauce and Newman salsa, and I like to eat it with the tortilla chips. But sometimes I eat too much of it, or a lot of the time I do, and it makes my nose run. And it's cold outside, so I don't know. But going back to the movie, so Terrence Malick, this Thin Red Line, John Jim Caviezel, who also played Jesus Christ in Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ. Jim Caviezel in this movie, he's kind of well, he goes AWOL like another soldier at the start of the movie, um, and he's like he's the deserter, and he's quickly picked up by, I don't know if they're patrol boats or whatever, and he's put in like sort of like a prison cell in the ship. And Sean Penn, who's the head of the company or whatever, um, he has a talk with him, and he basically says, you know, you can't escape this kind of life you're living. You have to fight for the war, and your life is insignificant to um, the greater um, whims of the world, you know. Um, and Jim Caviezel says back to him, he says like, I can take out stuff, I can take anything you spoon out to me. You can dish out anything you want, and I'll be able to take it. I'm twice the man you are. And Sean Penn says, what does he say? He says like, you've got to know that this world is indifferent to you. I'm paraphrasing a little, but um, that you're insignificant, and um, it's not up to you to decide how you're going to run your life, something like that. Which, and I'm more on the Sean Penn side, I guess, because I think the Sean Penn side sees like he's sort of like an atheist in a sense, I guess you could say. He's more of a grim. Well, is grim the right word? He just sees that realistically, a lot of people are going to have to die in order to win the war. Um, and he's kind of gruff and grim about it, but maybe he's making a certain point about it. The Jim Caviezel character, I think he has like more of a, he thinks he'll go to heaven. He thinks he thinks he can transcend the suffering and the hardships of war. So, anyways, so you'll see what happens in the movie. I highly recommend this movie. Terrence Malick is a great film director. Um, some people might think he's indulgent, but I just love him. I like the poetic lines in this. I like the fact that Terrence Malick is not a complete, you know, narrative filmmaker. Like, not that narrative filmmakers are bad, but he's not like a 3-act director exactly with plot points and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he is and he isn't, but he sort of goes off on these poetic tangents, and I kind of find that interesting. And it's kind of off the beaten path, and I think that makes him an interesting filmmaker. And it's amazing because like when he shoots his films, I've noticed a lot of them, he moves the camera a lot, you know, all around the place. And I would think it might be a headache for the crew because, you know, you got to make sure the camera isn't seen or the crew isn't seen while the camera's moving around like that, you know. But I think he knows how to cut and edit and make a certain kind of poetry out of his movies, and that's what's beautiful about them, you know. And I can't wait to take a look at Tree of Life again. I can't wait to take a look at New World again. I love those movies. New World, I love. Probably I love New World more than Tree of Life, but Tree of Life is good, yeah. And Days of Heaven, beautiful masterpiece. Some people might be bored by it, but I think it's just a gorgeous, beautiful cinematography that was done by Nestor Almendros, and you know, just beautiful music. The Saint Sands song and there's not song, piece of classical music. John Tull was the cinematographer on this. He did a beautiful job on this. So last up, this is what I just watched just a few minutes before I got on this. Um, it's a film directed by Nicholas Winding Refn. It stars Mads Mikkelsen. It's called Valhalla Rising. This film expires on Monday night, um, 12 a.m. Pacific time, 3 a.m. Eastern time. Um, I was impressed by this movie, but I'm trying. Maybe I should, I should have done my homework before I did this video and looked. I was going to do it, and I forgot all about it. I should have looked at the Wikipedia article on Valhalla Rising, but anyways, at the start of the movie, the Mads Mikkelsen character, he's in bondage as a slave. He's got a metal collar. I think it's a metal collar around his neck. He's being led on like not like a chain, but like a stick attached to the collar. And these people that have him prisoner are pagans. They're Viking. Wait, no, those are Viking. Excuse me, the Vikings are later. These are what are these people? They're not Vikings. Um, they're pagans, and they don't have much respect for him. But things change. Then he ends up with a and at the start of this film, he meets this young boy, and the main character by Mads Mikkelsen, he never speaks during the movie. So when he moves on to another group of people, which are Christian Vikings headed for the Holy Land, to in the name of God to liberate the city of Jerusalem, and wins God's favor. Things things happen to them as well. Let's put it that way. And there's the ending is beautiful too. It's brutal, but it's beautiful the way it's shot. The way the film is shot is very beautiful. It's very stark cinematography, very simplistic cinematography, not a lot of busy shots. Very weather, just a lot of nature and weather and um, anyways. So um, I lose my place on the phone because I I'm talking about the movies, and then the phone automatically shuts itself off, and I have to put the code back in. So, but anyways, so Valhalla Rising, um, it's impressive, but I don't know if everybody can get into it. Maybe it took a while for me to like dig into it to really find it interesting. I mean, I did. It was interesting at the start, but it took a while for me to get into it. But it's beautiful cinematography, beautifully lit, but very stark simplicity. And I guess they shot it in Scotland or Denmark or both. I think a lot of the crew was Danish. Um, but then it mentioned Scotland. I don't know. So maybe it was shot in Scotland and Denmark. I don't know. But I'm going to give it 4 stars. I thought it was an excellent movie. Excellent because one of the ways it's excellent is because of its stark simplicity. And and it has these chapter headings like part one. What's part one? Heaven, or I don't know. Part four, I think it's hell. Part five is well, I don't want to say. Just this film is worth watching. Nicholas Winding Refn. If you want to watch another film by him, I think that's a little bit better than this one. Would be Drive, which this might be the second one I've seen in Refn's. I'm not sure, but Drive is an excellent movie, and I think it's one of my friend on YouTube's favorite movies. Drive, I'm talking about. So I highly recommend Drive as well. So anyways, that does it. So I think I'll try to do like a summary here. So Roma, directed by Alfonso Cuarón, I give it 4 stars. Hell or High Water, I give it 4 stars, directed by David Mackenzie. Enter the Void, directed by Gaspar Noé, 4 stars. Thin Red Line, directed by Terrence Malick, 4.5 stars. And Valhalla Rising, directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, 4 stars. So not a bad week. I didn't have a bad week of watching anything that was how can you that dragged pacing wise, or um, that was you know uh, just or the dialogue would be terrible or something. The last thing I would mention is this last movie I mentioned, Valhalla Rising. There's a lot of scenes without any dialogue, or very little dialogue, and the main character, he doesn't speak at all, and I think he might be. Should I say it, or should you see it? I won't say anything. So, anyways, that does it for this week. I just wanted to do this video before Sunday, because tomorrow, technically now it is, um, Enter the Void will leave movie. Maybe I'll try to watch a whole bunch of movies soon, get them out of the way so I can tell you about them. If you want to watch them, who knows if you want to or not. But if you want to go on Mubi, and I think they give you a trial period where you can watch for free, and then cancel your subscription before they charge you. So that way you could watch a movie for free, basically. But anyways, maybe I'll try and watch some of the movies on there to tell you what I think of them. And I think there's like 4 or 5 of them so far I want to watch are on there currently that I really do like, definitely want to watch. One of them is directed by the same guy who directed the Japanese film House. And of all my Criterions that I've bought, maybe it wasn't. I guess I sent some of the Criterions that I didn't like to people that I thought might like them better, and but I thought it was one of the worst Criterions I owned, and it was a film called House, but I think I've grown to like it, and it's kind of idiosyncratic. Is it idiosyncratic? I don't know. It's is that the right word? It's kind of goofy and silly, and sorry, my nose is just itching like you wouldn't believe. But I think I've become to accept it more. And anyways, that director of House, he's another film on Mubi right now. I think it expires maybe in like around 2 weeks, 12 days or 14 days or something. So I'm going to try and take a look at that. So maybe I can take a look at that fairly soon, so you'll know what I think of it, which will be next Saturday probably. Maybe not next Sunday, because I think if I watch some more movies off of Mubi, I got to tell you about them. And I took a few movies out of the library, which I haven't watched yet. I took out a movie called Perfume. I took that out because Nirvana is one of my favorite bands, and I think my favorite song in Nirvana would have to be "Scentless Apprentice" off of In Utero. It's the only song that Nirvana wrote that was based on a literary source, and it's also the only. Well, is it? Maybe it's the only song that all 3 of the members of the band collaborated on. Like, I think Kurt Cobain basically he wrote almost all the lyrics for their songs, and maybe he designed the music too. But like in Scentless Apprentice, like the music designs the lines. You know, the way the music is played is the way the lyrics are parceled out or whatever. So, but anyway, Scentless Apprentice is based on this novel called Perfume, and I took out the movie that's the adaptation of the novel. At least I think that's what it is. So Perfume, it's got Dustin Hoffman in it. I don't know who else is in it. It's on my couch. I'm not looking at it. I can't see it right now. But and then I took out All About Eve because a friend of mine on Facebook and YouTube, he really touts that film and says it's great. And I think I've seen parts of it, and I think I fell asleep during it. I'd really like to watch that, so I think I'm gonna get that, watch that as well. So, anyways, I won't keep you any longer. I've been on long enough. Leave comments down below if you want, and I'll see you next week, or with other stuff if some other stuff comes up. Maybe I'll watch some TV. I just feel that, like, if I watch a TV show, like if I watch episode episode was it episode one of the first season, I've got to watch it all through the whole show. Not just the whole season, but maybe if the show is 6 seasons long, I have to watch all 6 seasons before I can watch any other television show or movie or something. But I'm thinking maybe that doesn't work too well. Maybe I have to be a little more flexible. So, maybe I'll have to bend kind of things. Maybe I'll have to like watch a movie if I want to watch another movie, but there's special features on the movie I just previously watched them. I have to put them to the side and then watch those later. Like with my Halloween marathon, there are special features on some of those horror movies, commentaries, or behind the scenes stuff, and I didn't watch it because I was trying to watch a horror film every single day of October, and there wasn't enough time to watch the special features. So I'd like to go back to that. So I might be absent for a little while on YouTube, for that reason. To watch the special features of films I previously watched for the Halloween marathon and for the 24-hour marathon from last year, Ryan Chataway's 24-hour marathon. Also, I plan on participating again in the Ryan Chataway 24-hour movie marathon this year, and some of the films some of the subjects of the genres of the films that he suggested for this year, the rules. So I think I have a few of those films that he's talking about that are kind of unique, that are off the beaten path, that haven't been done before, previous to this edition of the Ryan Chataway 24-hour movie marathon. All right, that's enough. Check out my blog, check out my GarageBand songs, and take a look at my other channel. There's only 2 videos of it on there on it so far. It's my music channel. It's called Page Hendrix Slash, and Jimmy Page, Jimi Hendrix Slash. So it has my intro to the channel on there, and my first GarageBand song on there. But I will put all music related stuff on this channel too, and on that channel as well. But anything, movie, television show, any other kind of thing that isn't music related will stay on this channel. So enough. I'm going on way too much. And all right. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. See you later.